come Bristol's Jonathan Lillis.
Yeah, John!
At 16 years old, he made it onto the U.S. ski team.
One step towards the ultimate goal, an Olympic gold medal.
Here comes number 2. This is Christopher Lillis.
All right, Chris.
And in first place from BristolMountain, Christopher Lillis.
I'm the youngest male to ever win the gold in the World Cup.
Here comes our third one, Michael Lillis.
Mikey! Go, Mikey!
It's really competitive between us, but at the end of the day, we're all rooting for each other.
To have 3 athletes, all from the same family, excel in the same sport, really speaks to the devotion that that family has.
The idea that all of us could go on and do it professionally from such a small area is something that was really important.
It's a team. It's always been a team.
Many young athletes have dreams of one day making it to the Olympics. Only a select few ever live up to those lofty ambitions. For one family, however, not one but 3 brothers have all aimed at reaching the pinnacle in a journey filled with the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But through it all, it's been the family, the cohesive force that's kept them together and fighting for each other.
You're saying hello to me.
Pretty cool, Jonathan.
This is Mikey. That's my mom. That's little
Don't record. I'd
Christopher.
waste my film. No.
And now I have to go because my mom got mad at me.
Look, my record button stopped.
From the outside, the Lillises look like your average American family, but their story is anything but ordinary.
We've always been really close. We've always spent a lot of time together. I think the kids had a good time growing up.
Hi, Mike. You having fun camping? Yeah.
Parents Bernie and Jamie Lillis built their life and their family in the suburbs of Rochester.
Growing up in this family was always kind of interesting because it was a nonstop circus pretty much from when everybody was born.
The bars. Dun, dun.
A house of 3 boys. First, there was John.
My name's Jonathan Lillis, and I am not the weirdo.
Jonathan was always a little boy, but was larger than life.
Then came Chris.
Chris has got wit and personality.
And Mikey, the youngest.
And Michael always put people's feelings of his own.
I'm here, and I'm Mikey.
I can remember any time I would give Michael a gift, whether it was his birthday or Christmas or whatever, his response would be, "That's just what I wanted."
I wanted this one. Mikey?
He just was a person that always wanted to do the next right thing.
And like in most families, the Lillis brothers had well-defined roles.
John has always felt protective of his brothers.
Chris and Michael always looked up to John. And, John was always had to be in charge. And if things weren't his way, then, we were all miserable. They were always competing about everything, usually for our attention.
All right, Chris. All right, Boo, we'll run.
So their parents had to find a way to foster that competitive spirit while still maintaining order in the house.
All right, buddy. All right.
As the oldest, John was the first to take on the mountain.
When John was 6 years old, our whole family was going up to Smuggler's Notch. They had a 6-week learn to ski program, and they took young kids.
I remember the first day, because he was always wanted to be the best at everything, right? And, at the first break, he wasn't getting it. He was falling down, and he just looks, he goes, "This sucks, I want to go home." I'm like, "Well, I already paid for it, so get back up there."
And once he learned that he could go and stop, and he didn't have to sidestep, he just took off. And every day that he came out of the lessons, they said he has to move up to the higher group. We can't keep up with him.
Jon's natural ability on the slopes made him stand out from the crowd.
This one is mine.
This kid here is
this is your son?
He's gonna be unbelievable.
Here it comes. Who's coming? Jonathan Lillis.
And here comes Jonathan Lillis to the second hit. And nails a 360.
All right, buddy.
In second place, from Bristol, Jonathan Lillis.
What's going through your mind while you're looking at all these awards?
The biggest thing for me is when I look at all these, unless they have the name on it, you kind of have to think about which brother won which one. That's when Chris won the overall North American Cup when he was 16. That was pretty cool. That's when Chris did not do as well as me at Junior World Championships, and he got 5th and I got 2nd. Different years, of course, but it's kind of funny to think about, like, 3 crazy kids skiing around Bristol Mountain telling people that they were just gonna go be 3 professional skiers, and then 10 years later, it's like, that's what we meant. I think that it kind of brings a lot of that back for me.
On a family trip to Lake Placid, Jon was introduced to another form of skiing when he saw a show featuring the Canadian freestyle aerial team.
And Jon watched it and he said, I want to do that. I want to do that, and I want to go to the Olympics.
You can be anything you want. You know, every parent tells their kids that, right? Work hard, study hard, do anything you want to. And he really meant it. That's what he wanted to do.
While he was shooting for the stars, it was close to home at Bristol Mountain Ski Resort, where Jon's career began to take off.
Yeah!
All right, Jonathan Lillis, the hometown hero.
He loved to ski the moguls, he loved to ride the park, he was great at that too, and loved to free ski, but when it came to jumping, that's really where he excelled, and that's really where he was most comfortable and had the most fun.
All right, Jonathan.
Jon was, I think, the first athlete that I taught how to jump into the pool. So through the entire progression from when he started on up through flipping, you know, he was kind of one of our first athletes that made it all the way.
Ooh, I bet you that hurt.
I remember going to the pool for the first time and watching him jump off that little ramp into the water, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Are you filming me?
Yeah.
Why?
Let's have your play-by-play of that last 360 you did.
It hurt.
And I was feeling very nervous, but when you watch them do it and you watch them grow and develop, and you see that there's a natural talent.
Hey, you're good out there, Jonathan. Good on you. I'm going to see you at the Olympics. We hope.
By the time he was 13 years old, Jon was on the fast track to success, until a freak accident nearly ended his career and his life.
All of a sudden I heard like kind of a crash, and Jon had fallen down the stairs, and he caught this necklace that he was wearing on the banister, and he was passed out cold.
This staircase in the Lillis household is the place where many happy memories were made.
Cheese.
Until September 13th, 2007, when 13-year-old Jon was home looking after his 2 younger brothers, 9-year-old Chris and 7-year-old Mikey.
You know, we were just hanging out, watching TV after school, no big deal, and all of a sudden I heard like kind of a crash, and Jon had fallen down the stairs, and he caught this necklace that he was wearing on the banister, and he must have hit his head or something. I didn't actually see him fall, but he was passed out cold.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell you very much.
So I kind of realized it was a serious situation, went into the kitchen, got a knife, and cut him down. He started having a seizure on the floor, and you know, I'm 9 years old, so I don't really know exactly what to do, but you know, I was like trying to get him to snap out of it and stop freaking me out, Jon, stop scaring me, stop doing all this stuff. I called the police, I called my parents, and so Jon spent the next 3 weeks in the hospital in a coma.
Well, certainly at the time of presentation, it was definitely touch and go as to whether Jon was going to survive this. He arrived in the emergency room with severe asphyxial injury from the near hanging, and had low oxygen levels long enough that he had actually had probably about 45 minutes of seizures.
It was a really wild experience as a younger brother because there was some pretty serious stuff going on and it wasn't looking super well.
To have that significant of an event, I think most of us are surprised that he had as great of an outcome.
While the odds were against him, Jon miraculously walked away from a near tragedy unscathed and quickly jumped right back into pursuing his passion. Jon rose through the ranks so rapidly that dream he had at Lake Placid just a few years earlier became reality.
I want to hear you guys start making a little bit more noise every time we get these athletes up here. Second in the Junior Olympics in 2010. Seventh in the 2010 U.S. Nationals. He's 16 years old, from Rochester, New York. Good up for Jonathan Lillis!
And his parents made the tough decision to let him leave home at the age of 14 to train full-time.
I'm going to let him go live at a training center and I'm going to let him do this. They looked at you like you had horns growing out of your head.
We just really thought, you know, I don't want him to feel when he's 30 years old, be one of these people that said, I could have been, you know. And so we decided it was worth the risk taking a shot and letting him do it.
That risk was rewarded when Jon was picked to join the U.S. national team.
We were so stoked for him for that. And again, it was the first athlete that we had ever gotten onto the U.S. ski team. And it's like, wow, this is so super special. And we ended up doing a press conference here in Rochester, and you know, everyone was so excited at Bristol, and we still are.
It's a great accomplishment, you know, but it's just a milestone. It's one step towards the ultimate goal, an Olympic gold medal.
Jon was heading to new heights, with Chris and Mikey right behind him.
I mean, you could see with Jon there was a natural talent, and Chris and Mike, they were dying to get their opportunity.
To have three athletes, all from the same family, excel in the same sport, really speaks to the devotion that that family has.
And just like his older brother, Chris quickly began to make a name for himself.
In first place from BristolMountain, For the Lillis.
As the stakes grew higher, the youngest Lillis brother was determined to be in the picture.
Mikey! Go, Mikey!
All right, Mikey!
It's really competitive between us, but at the end of the day, we're all rooting for each other. Say Chris comes and I beat Chris in a competition, or he beats me. It doesn't matter, because we're just stoked for the other person excelling in what they're trying to accomplish.
Following the path of Jon and Chris, Mikey too was bound for greatness.
Let's go, Mikey!
One of the three brothers that Stuart was talking about earlier, waiting for the bubbles. Here we go. Coach is sending them on course. Look at this.
The sky was the limit for Mikey for sure, especially in aerials, because he was so talented in aerials.
It took time and money to have three boys reach those heights.
You know, I actually hate the word sacrifices, because sacrifices kind of indicates that we lost out on something.
When they were younger, we went to Disney World every year. Now we went to wherever U.S. Nationals are.
And by the end of 2016, the Lillis brothers found themselves traveling on the world stage. Chris captured a World Cup gold medal at the age of 17, becoming the youngest ever to accomplish that feat.
I definitely did not expect this. It was better than I could have ever hoped to do, and I'm just happy to have done it and to have done my jumps as well as I could.
Setting up what would be the biggest year yet for the Lillis family.
2017 started off as a really great year.
In March, Jon was in Spain competing for the World Championship.
We had a bunch of family watching in different places. My sister was landing in the airport.
Michael was in Lake Placid, Chris was in Park City, and Jon was in Spain.
Going for a back full, double full. Jonathan Lillis on course. Oh, putting it down! He's back full, double full, Jonathan Lillis!
It was like, yes!
And he does have it! Jonathan Lillis with the gold with 125 points!
The phone just starts ringing off the hook, and you're just watching this whole momentous moment. You're watching Jon stand on that podium. You're watching the American flag go up, and you're seeing him in that moment.
Jonathan Lillis with the gold.
I just felt good for him because he finally legitimized everything he'd worked for. You could tell that he felt satisfied.
The Lillis brothers were poised to take over in 2017. Jon a world champ. He and Chris both aiming for the 2018 Olympics. And Mikey's career blossoming at the development level. But more obstacles lay ahead for this family.
Summer training went well for everybody. Everybody's geared up. You know, it's the big year.
Yeah, Mike.
And October hit.
October 21st, 2017. A typical Saturday morning for the Lillises. Jon and Chris were in Switzerland. Bernie had a dentist appointment, and Mikey and Jamie were both at home.
And I looked at the clock and I said, I remember really clearly seeing 10:15 on the clock. And I'm like, Michael needs to get up. This is ridiculous. We have things to do. He can't sleep all day and sleep like this. He needs to get going. And I came down and I stood at the bottom of the stairs and I called up to him and he didn't answer.
I still don't understand it. And I don't think I ever will understand it.
And when I went in and I opened his door and went in, I knew. I knew he had died. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
It doesn't seem real. It just didn't make any sense. Because the night before we were just talking. And everything was fine and the plans were big and life was good, no complaints. Everything was perfect. And then 12 hours later, life wasn't perfect anymore.
It's the worst day of my life. We still don't know what happened. He was still sleeping in his bed with his hand under his head. He had died in his sleep.
Let's go, Mikey!
While the report from the autopsy came back inconclusive, it's believed that Mikey most likely died from a heart arrhythmia.
All of a sudden, the Olympics didn't matter. And it was, the outpouring for Michael was humbling. 1,000+ people at his funeral. He had people from numerous countries that came.
Mikey Lillis was only 17 years old. A son, a brother, gone too soon. A grieving family left heartbroken. But through the sadness, Jon and Chris pressed on.
They knew that their brother would be really pissed at them if they didn't continue to follow their dream.
I think that the worst thing we could have done to, I would say, honor him would be spend more time at home. I think he would have really wanted us to be back on the hill and training and trying as hard as we could be to accomplishing not only, my personal dream, my brother's personal dream, but Mikey's dream as well.
Just as they were getting back on their skis and pointed toward the 2018 Olympics, another setback knocked one of the Lillis brothers off course.
That evening, when we were just getting ready to watch, I had some bad feelings. I just didn't have a good vibe on what was going on then. And then we got the call from Chris that he tore his ACL.
A month after Michael died, Chris tore a ligament in his knee while training in China, ending his chances of competing for Olympic gold.
Well, given everything that was going on, something a lot worse than a blown ACL could happen. And so maybe that's just a way for him to heal mentally and physically for a while.
And that left Jon alone to carry the family banner to the 2018 Games in South Korea.
Jon has worked for this moment for 15 years. And along with the great successes,
Jonathan Lillis with the gold.
moments of disappointment. Here was his chance to keep going. And a little boy who said, I want to go to the Olympics, he did it.
February 9th, family and friends packed into a party at the Lillises to share in Jon's experience at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
The show's about to end here, Ryan.
Being in the Olympics is a pretty unexplainable and also incredible feeling at the same time. The first moment of awe was when I was walking behind the American flag into the opening ceremonies, because that's the moment that you kind of dream of and you picture of and you're like, okay, I'm here.
Let the games begin, so you put a little story together.
And it wasn't only Jon who everyone was waiting for.
When Jon found out that he was going to the Olympics, he said, I would like to carry Michael's ashes in the opening ceremony. And I thought, oh boy.
Thanks to the generosity of a local artisan, that wish came true.
The story, it just touched my heart, and that's when it struck me that I could provide this service for their family.
All the white that you can see through the pieces are Michael's ashes right there with us.
When you can take somebody's loved one, encase their ashes in such a special way, it's healing.
I think that they just made it easier for me to go out and do what I needed to do. Because they were things that made me feel close to him still. Like, for some people that might be church or anything else, but for me it was just keeping his things close to me and then using those to bring back memories and keep myself kind of calm and focused for that couple of weeks that we were there.
With his family by his side, Jon was finally ready to live out his Olympic dream.
Before he goes and takes his run, what will I be thinking? Lean back, go fast, and land.
With an outstanding first jump in the qualifying round, Jon landed on top of the leaderboard.
It's pretty nerve-wracking doing something for 10 years, only to compete it at the highest level for 4 seconds.
The second jump didn't go as well for Jon, leaving him out of contention for a medal.
I didn't feel any added pressure in relating to Mikey at all. I more felt that, I wanted to do something cool to make the people that I cared about happy, but then also I knew that I'd overcame a lot. People weren't really expecting me to be there anyways. So I think every kind of story needs an end, so we'll get there next 4 years.
If there's one thing about this family, it's that they never quit. Jon is already gearing up to compete in the next Olympics, this time with his brother Chris along with him. While they focus on the future, they're also honoring their brother back home at Bristol Mountain in Rochester, New York, the place where they spent so much time together, doing what they love.
When my brother passed away, he was doing what he loved too, and that's what this was. So I think that that's the experience that he would have wanted to share also. And that means a lot when you're trying to do things in the memory of people. You want to make sure that, like, hey, this is something that meant a lot to them. And I think that we get the gratification knowing that, aerials is what meant so much to Mikey.
We've thought about this trail being an aerial site for so long. I mean, how long have we been talking about this, Johnny?
Oh, a decade.
I mean, yeah.
We're going to construct a brand new terrain park, and in that terrain park, the bottom feature of the terrain park is going to be inverted aerial kickers that are similar to the ones that are used in the Olympics and in World Cup.
We get to be proud that You know, at 17, our brother was thought of as an athlete of worth enough to go and name this training facility off of. And you know, it's great that it finally is coming here, because I think that those are what kind of keep the good memories kind of around.
A dream they shared, being among the best of the best, all three brothers together. This site, a lasting tribute to keeping that legacy alive. Dedicated to the sport, dedicated to each other, dedicated to jumping for Mikey.